All right, so this lesson plan is going to be for the second grade. It's going to be a civics unit for world responsibilities and problem solving with comparisons to real world from school systems. Day one's learning target would be that students will be able to identify problems within our world using a school environment to compare to a broader situation. They would use things like trash bags to clean up as a class a particular area in the classroom or in the campus where there's a problem like pollution. The presentation of the content, the students will have a preliminary discussion about what happens in the problems of the school that might need to be fixed. Then the class will travel to part of the school to help fix one of these problems by working together to help the school. Then there will be a post-activity discussion about the world as a whole and the importance of community involvement and the real recognition of real-world problems like pollution as recognized in their own school as a worldwide problem. And then one of their summative assessments to kind of know that they absorbed the content would be that they'd be able to accurately identify what societal problems are that are a potential problem in the school environment. They will also be able to correctly develop problem and solution skills, and if a student was not to understand, they would display lack of problem and solution abilities through complex thinking. They would be unable to either identify or solve a given problem with the world situation that's provided them. And then day two, students would be able to describe responsibilities of authority figures in school systems by using different faculty as examples with a provided group by completing a poster. So the materials would include like a cardstock paper, some colors. They would create a classroom hierarchy chart and then maybe potentially discuss job charts as well. Students would be asked in the beginning of class what their authority figures are in the school and what they do in the class. And they will review the key terms of the lesson and talk about the responsibilities of these stated figures. Then they will be given a poster to work in groups of about 4 to 5 to make a hierarchy chart showing the levels of their school and the most least power to the most power. Then they would need to state the responsibilities of each of these people. Then at the end of class, the teacher will relate this to the school's hierarchy to a government, asking the students the responsibilities and need of certain levels of government, like city to state, state to country, officials and governors, presidents. This will be a class discussion that will be collaborative overall for understanding using comparisons from the school hierarchy to a governmental hierarchy. And then this would fully be known if it is understood if the students would turn in their posters that are created in class with their group, and individual students would be reviewed for their incorporation to the assignment. Their posters should display an understanding on the levels of authority and the need for each level. They should also be able to state why each is required and necessary. And then for the third day, the students will be able to define a rule and explain how rules are important by completing an interactive worksheet about school rules and compare to government laws and what happens when someone might break a law. The materials of this unit would be their worksheet that would be provided to them with discussion videos and act out examples, and the presentation of this content would be that the teacher would review the content from before about authorities and roles, and then they would pass out a worksheet that includes certain questions like how does the government work, what's the difference between a law and a rule, and then the teacher would show videos about some of these definable terms, and they'd have a class discussion about government. Then the teacher would ask students about the material, like what are some of the school's consequences or what would happen if you break a school rule. And then the teacher would transition into a government situation, allowing students to have a table group discussion before opening it up to a class discussion about what would happen when you break a law to assist students on completing the entire worksheet. And then the students would turn in their completed worksheet with a correct, in-depth answer showing the understanding of the meaning of laws, how government works, along with how school systems work, and the consequences of breaking rules and laws. If parts of the worksheet were incomplete or answered incorrectly, then you'd be able to pinpoint which areas exactly were not understood. This PBL unit will be engaging for students because it allows them to work on real-world problems and challenges that are not relevant to their lives. This makes the learning experience more meaningful and exciting to students. Additionally, project-based learning encourages collaboration, critical thinking, creativity, communication skills, which is essential for cognitive development. To increase cognition, project-based learning units provide students with opportunities to apply their knowledge and skills and practice the content. This project-based learning unit challenges the students by requiring them to be active in their learning instead of simply memorizing information and tasks, with applying their knowledge to real-world problems. With that, in our unit, it's making real-world connections between their school and what it looks like in the real world. Identifying the problem and finding a solution is an example of challenging their critical thinking skills as well as problem-solving skills. On the second day, they are asked to make group posters and display understanding of levels of authority that they need for each level of hierarchy. For example, the principal of their school is the president of their country, and what it would look like if we did not have these things. When doing this, they're also building a sense of teamwork and community. Multiple tiers of Bloom's taxonomy are being met in this project-based learning assignment. The students will start by remembering and understanding the project requirements, then move on to applying their knowledge to solve these problems, analyzing data and information, then evaluating the work and others, and finally creating a final understanding through a worksheet. Thank you.